Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Love and Business with myself, Crystal Robinson, and my amazing husband, Lemoyne Robinson. I know you guys are joining us live via Facebook and YouTube Live. Of course, we already know what we do. We need to hashtag live and tell us where you're tuning in from. I see Arkansas is already heavy in the house tonight. We got South Carolina in the house tonight. Yes, this is super exciting. Let's get to it because I'm excited about tonight's episode. So listen, we're super excited that you guys have joined us tonight. We're here to help you to dominate in love and business. And if you and your spouse are ready to cultivate a healthy mindset for business partnership, and you need to work on communication skills, develop strategies for long-term success and legacy building, this is going to be the place in the community for you.
Absolutely. The whole intent of us creating this community is to surround ourselves with like-minded people, like-minded boss couples who are ready to dominate and take things to the next level, not even just in marriage, but in business as well. I think that those go hand in hand. So through raising a family while establishing many successful businesses, we gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and we're ready to share the blueprint with you guys and get some feedback and experiences from you so that we can all grow together.
Absolutely. So tonight is a very special night because my friends are joining us here shortly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is like, I feel all mushy.
I know. I don't know if we could just say friends, man. They like so much more.
Much. Well, for my friend Shun, it's very important that I call her friend.
You're right.
Especially 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a backstory to that. She might bring it up tonight. I don't know. I'm going to behave tonight. But we're going to introduce this amazing couple. Listen, I think, is this our first time having pastors on? Is it? This our first? So, this our first set of pastors. So I'm just going ahead and preface y'all right now. They got 3 closes apiece. They both pastors. So I have no clue how long it's going to last tonight, but I'm excited about however long it lasts. They're going to get the floor for as long as they want to talk because wisdom is about to be in the room.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, let's introduce our friends, Pastors Edwin and Shun Strickland from Arkansas.
Hi.
What's up, people?
Welcome.
Good. It's so much stuff we're gonna try to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. I don't know, but wherever we go, I'm happy that we went there. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say tonight. First of all, y'all got a lot of stuff going on. Tuesday night, in case you guys missed it, they did relationships one-on-one, and man, they ripped me a few on Tuesday night, but I sat there and I took, some copious notes. Me and Lemoyne sat on the sofa and had some good chuckles. I still need a little bit more detail, Shun, on that story about you hiding in those bushes. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I wasn't hiding in the bushes.
No,
in the bushes trying to see. That's a big difference. Okay?
Let's be clear.
I needed to bust the window is what I was trying to see.
She was going through the bushes.
She was going through the bushes.
Through the bushes.
Listen, first of all, I just want to say thank you guys for coming on with us tonight and, having a conversation with us. I think that is first of all, it's like, it's an amazing pleasure to be able to call you guys friends. Like, seriously, it's an honor. And we're grateful that we got you guys in our lives. So much so we could call this business, but we wouldn't have been able to call it love and business if we hadn't had y'all in our school.
Not love with each other. It would just.
This just would have been the business podcast. You hear me? So, y'all gonna really help us tonight in the love department and in the business side of things because, of course, my friend Shun over here to hit the the $1 million club. She retiring her husband and whatnot. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But we gonna start in the love category because you guys have, what is it now? 29 years of marriage?
Almost 29. August 20th.
Almost 29.
Okay.
And look, tell me this. What do you feel like is your core foundation for your marriage? Like, what do you guys feel like is really that, that one piece that works well for you guys that you could share with our audience tonight that really, helps your relationship to thrive?
Okay, so before we talk about that, can we tell everybody who's watching to like and share, to put in the story?
Absolutely.
this work that you guys are doing here is amazing. And I know you are so quick to get into business, but you have to remind people like, hey, tag
Yes.
your friends, bring your friends, right? Because
Yeah.
again, like we say on Relationships 101, we have to normalize healthy relationships.
That's
We have
good.
to normalize love and business. We have to normalize, right? Spending time doing things like this, right? And
Yes.
we have to remember, I was saying to Edwin on the way over here, we have so normalized this as a way of living. We have to remember everybody hasn't. So we have to remind them that if they want the fruit that we're talking about, they've got to do this, which means they got to be willing to invest this time on a Tuesday night, a Thursday night, a Monday, a Tuesday. They have to do that. And so we need everybody. Everybody here knows somebody who's married. Everybody here knows somebody that is in business. Tag them and get them to the and tell them they need to stick around because your marriage and your business depends on it.
That's good. You already teaching tonight.
See, I done got good at being loud, right? We asked for what we want.
Yes, let's get it.
So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Tell us what's your core foundation in your relationship?
Honestly, I think our core foundation is our commitment to God, our commitment to family, and honestly, you're gonna probably laugh at this one, but that we'll fight. And I don't mean where we stopped fighting in the natural, it just became us being relentless in a faith fight, right? And I think that what makes us, for everything that's different about us, what's the same about us is that. What would you say there?
No, I agree. I think the other thing is too, is that, and I don't even know how to really put this into words except to just say it the way it really is. I think our relationship works because we just don't take BS from each other. And what I mean by that is we have learned to be 100% honest with each other so that there's just no hiding. We know when we engage, we are getting true, authentic, whoever we're talking to. I think that has been, for me, has been a big key. And learning to laugh a lot. We have a lot of fun. We don't take ourselves serious. And we've learned that not to sweat the small stuff. And let's be honest, 80% of that stuff is all small stuff.
Yeah. That's good. So then let's go to the communication tip, because you guys did talk a good little bit on Tuesday night about communication. What do you feel like is like the most difficult conversation that you guys have had to have with each other, and then how did you navigate through that? With your communication skills, because y'all got some sweet communication skills. Did I stump y'all?
Yeah, you say most difficult. Man, we've had difficult conversations about how we move the furniture in the house. You got to remember, we spent years where almost every conversation was a difficult conversation.
Okay.
And I'm not sure.
That's fine. But how do you feel like you navigate through any difficult conversation then?
Yeah. Okay. I'll say for me, and then you can chime in for you. I had to become more emotionally intelligent. I can honestly say, I believe being self-aware is extremely important. And I can look back now and say that, I didn't have a lot of emotional intelligence. And when you don't have a high degree of emotional intelligence, even if you're saying the right thing, even if you're 100% correct, your tone and delivery just messes it all up.
Yeah.
And so for me, I had to learn that if I really wanted to be heard, I had to gain some emotional intelligence. I had to learn how to control myself, even when my emotions were raging inside of me. I had to learn how to speak in a non-condescending way, even when I knew I was right, when I had told you I was going to be right, when I was showing you that I was right. I had to learn not to show up like that for me. And I think just learning other communication tools helped me out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
what about you?
Yeah, that's good.
Have you always been a master communicator? Oh, okay.
just loud. I think that one of the biggest things I had to learn is that I was responsible for myself, even if I didn't like his delivery.
Mm.
That
Ooh.
I was still responsible for myself. And that I think that was pretty tough for me because I tell a story about this lady, Sister King, who I think is incredibly responsible for us still being married today. And I remember talking to Sister King one day, and she was asking me about me and Strick, and we had got into it about something, and he said something crazy to me, so I said something crazy to him. And the thing about both of us is that we're both pretty good at one-upping the other one, right? We always say we both grew up listening to gangster rap. We got slick mouths, all of that different stuff. And I remember the day right now, I remember where I was sitting, what she was doing, what she was wearing when she said to me, you know, you don't have to cuss Edwin out because he's talking crazy. And I was so confused. I'm honest to God, I was so baffled by what she meant because I'm like, if someone talks crazy to you, what else would you do besides talk crazy back to them?
Exactly.
And she was like, I want you to practice not going off because he goes off.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. It was the learning that at the end of the day, Edwin didn't make me go off. I went off like that because I got a certain satisfaction and an enjoyment. And as he said, he wasn't really emotional, intelligent. So for me, anytime I felt like that he thought he was going to run over me, I'm like, all right, well, I'll be a huckleberry, right? And that's not really the way to stay married.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm interested in your dynamic because I'm the quick mouth one over here. You know, Lamar needs time to process what it is that he needs to say about a situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to filter. I'm gonna try to filter my words and be a little more tactful with it, so that because I care about your feelings. So
That's so nice.
you know,
that's a novel concept.
it is. It is.
A real novel concept to care about the feelings of the person you spend your life with.
Real nice.
But here's the deal. When I was in college, I read this book, and one of my professors, he made this analogy, and he said, as the head of your house, as the king of your castle, if you're a representation of Jesus, he wore a crown of thorns, not of jewels. So suffering is a part of it. And I was like, okay. So I just got to kind of, I need to, because you're supposed to love your wife like Christ loved the church, right? Like, okay, so the church mess up, but Christ still love them, right? Or the church do some stuff that is like, you don't agree with, but you like, hey, all right, I still love you. I'm still there. I'm still rocking with you. But in a lot of times when it comes to that communication piece, it becomes one of those things where now, because she's super witty with it, right? Because she's super quick to come back with something, or even if I give an objection or ask a question to try to help her see the wrongness of her thinking, right? To try to help her self-discover, it will come off so fast. I'm just like, okay, then don't worry about it. You're right. You're right. And then I just carry on, go about my way, man.
Yeah. And I think it was super important for us to start getting around, other couples. Like when you mentioned the lady, that, basically help you guys to stay married. For us,
Sister King,
I think it's important that we actually normalize having, other couples that can give us that type of wisdom, right? Because we didn't necessarily have that in the beginning stages of our marriage. Like we was just winging it, we was trying to figure it out.
Well, we didn't have a core, right? So when you guys, Crystal asked you what's the core foundation now, I think it's important that you guys may reflect, or if you're able to share and verbalize, what was your core when you got married? You know what I mean? Because it may be somebody that's in that place now that doesn't really like that address anymore, right? They don't like what that core foundation is, but they hadn't even found the words to wrap around it, right? They just know, I don't like being here. So what did that look like for you guys starting out, like early on, when it wasn't necessarily after the honeymoon phase, let me say that.
Yeah, I think for us, one of the things we said to each other quite often in year 2, 3, 4, and 5. We said to each other, look, we're going to be married and we're going to be happy. The question is, am I going to be married to you?
Y'all said that early in y'all marriage?
That was our conversation. We both knew that we were going to be married. We both knew we were going to be happily married. The question was, were we going to do that with each other? And the question was, yes, I want to be married and I want to be happy with you. And so at first, that's all we had. That was our foundation. And so we started working from there first. And that's why when we talk to couples all the time, we ask people, we say, do you actually want to be married
to each other?
And then do you want to be married to each other? Because I think it's a two-part question. It's not just do you want to be married, it's do you want to be married and do you want to be married to this person? And if both people can honestly say yes, then you can figure out the tools. So our original foundation was just that. It wasn't even, what we have now, which, obviously we've grown into our relationship with Christ and we know that that's our foundation. We love and honor our family and we want to leave a legacy for our children's children. Yeah. Those things came along afterwards. But at first it was just, hey, I'm going to be married. I'm going to be happy. And I would like to do it with you.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, but if we're honest, that conversation was a little different for us because you were like, I'm going to be married and be happy. I'm like, if I'm not going to be married to you, I'm going to be happy by myself because I never wanted, my goal in life was not to be married. So for me, what was different, like the truth of it is that if we had made it, he probably would have been married 2 more times because nobody else would have put up with him. I'd
have been happy to those times until I got married.
But I wouldn't have been because even though I did not know what I know now, but one thing I am sure of as a 22-year-old woman is that God told me Edwin was my husband.
Yeah.
And that was the anchor. Like, we didn't have a lot of skills. It's probably why my biggest question is always, what did God say? I did not know much. I didn't know how to communicate well. I didn't know how to work through conflict. I didn't know how to build wealth. But the one thing I knew is that God told me Edwin was my person. And so I was willing to do the work, to learn to do the work. Because I knew God said that. Now we talk about this, right? I used to always say to him, God didn't tell you I was your person. And his experience isn't the same. But I think it's because I think the truth is I didn't want to get married. It was never a plan of mine. I had not seen happy relationships. I did not have any interest in signing up for any of that foolery. So I think God knew to get me interested, he needed to say to me, this is what I want for you. Where I think Edwin always wanted to be married and have a family.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't that God said, Shun is your person. It was I had said to God what I wanted, and she checked off a lot of the boxes.
Yeah,
not all of them.
Not at first, not all of them, but you checked out a lot of them. And then we had this situation where I wasn't really sure if I wanted, because we were 22, right?
Right.
I wasn't really sure. And I had just turned 22, and I literally met her the night before she turned 22. And so I just wasn't sure if I was supposed to be getting married right then. But when I thought about the fact that if I walked away, what that felt like, and I was like, nah, this is it. This is my person. So while I didn't have God tell me she was my person, I always knew she was.
Yeah.
After that. So
because he tried to play me in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
He tried to play me. So we had gone on a date, guys. I don't know, it's maybe our second or third date. And he says to me, he's like, I just want to let you know, we're in this super romantic place, right? And he says to me, I just want to let you know I'm not interested in having a serious relationship. I'm not interested in a girlfriend. Cool.
What?
Oh, baby, yes, he did tell me.
Had he played his cue at the time? He was a cue at the time?
Huh?
Had he played his cue at the time?
Yes, he had.
Oh, okay.
So
She
it's,
met me when I was a kid.
it's a
already.
Sunday morning after brunch, baby, and he got me out here overlooking the city. And he says to me, I just want to be clear. I want to be clear. I'm not interested in a committed relationship. I'm not interested in a girlfriend. And I said, oh, okay. Thanks for telling me.
And we had a good day.
And we had a great
We had a
day.
great day.
So he used the push away method, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Act like you don't want her, so she'll want you more. Is that what he was trying to do?
Well, what happened?
No, actually, I had some. We ain't gonna get down to all that tonight. We'll do that on a trip. When we at y'all house late at night, we'll talk about all that.
Yeah,
But
let's keep that.
I had some behaviors that had worked in the past that I thought was gonna work this time.
Mhm.
It didn't, and so it threw me a little bit. So on the ride home, I had to call and be like, yo, let me rescind that. I do want to be in a serious relationship.
You didn't respond the way that I thought you was gonna respond.
Right.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
so it sounds like, based on what you were saying earlier, that you guys both just had a desire, not necessarily the tools, but a desire, right?
To be married and stay married.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot, because there's some instances that we can reference in the Bible where people had a desire, or they had they were on the same page. They knew what that they wanted to do something, even though it may have been the wrong thing, or they didn't know quite how to do it, but because they had a desire to do it, it made them effective. It may not have made it comfortable for them, right? But it made them effective. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yeah, I think it was always our willingness that, here's another thing that I think couples need to think about. The truth be told, a lot of people get married and they don't like each other. Truth be told, they got a lot of lust for each other, but they don't actually like each other as people.
Yeah.
And one of the strong points for us is that we actually liked each other, even, kind of during the times that we got on each other's nerves. So one of the things that I think helped us is that when we weren't good at being husband and wife, we got really good at being friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And
that's
so
a secret sauce type of deal right there.
when we could not connect, like from the husband and wife perspective, we liked each other and enjoyed each other. A lot of stuff we probably worked out more as like, this my homegirl, this my homeboy, then this is my husband and my husband wife, because it created a space for, we talk about telling the truth, like having very honest conversations, is that space allowed for us to be very, very honest in those spaces. And I think in the beginning in marriage, we weren't necessarily that honest.
Yeah. So I want to transition just a little bit, because we do have a unique opportunity since you both are pastors, right? Like, I'm interested in first of all, how do you say to Shun, hey, I think we're supposed to do this, or does she say to you, like, how you go from because there's people that's in ministry together, right? And that's a different dynamic than being in business together.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, and if I tell this story on you, that's fine. I had been working with ministry, since I was like 19, right? I was like working with the youth department and those kind of things, doing some things in church, preaching a little bit. It was never my desire to pastor, and I just wasn't gonna do that. It wasn't my thing, right?
Yeah.
I had a lot of angst about why I didn't want to do it. Again, you're talking to a person at that time who didn't have a high degree of emotional intelligence. I saw how people had talked to my pastor, and I knew what I would do if they talked to me like that. And I didn't want to be in nobody's newspaper. And so it was just better for me not to be nobody's pastor.
Okay.
And then Pastor Shun, who wasn't Pastor Shun at the time, just kept saying to me, I think you're supposed to pastor. I think you're supposed to pastor. And I said, if you think that, that's probably because you heard you're supposed to pastor. And she was like, nope, that ain't how it worked, because at that time, I was very, very much Church of God in Christ, and so there were women, the women were missionaries, they weren't pastors.
Okay.
And so she just kept saying it and saying it. And finally, you know how people do, you find a scripture in the Bible. And so I found a scripture in the Bible about fleecing God. And I was like, okay, God, if I'm supposed to be a pastor, then you let X, Y, and Z happen before Wednesday. And sure enough, whatever dumb thing, I don't even remember what it was now, I asked for, happened. And I was like, man, this can't be it. Let me give God another try. So I went back to God and fleeced him again. And said, all right, this time I'll be real specific. I need like a blue butterfly fly across my path while I'm walking across campus. Or so, and I need the bell to ring when the butterflies come by. And whatever dumb thing I asked God for, I don't even remember what it was, happened. And so I went to her and just was like, you know what? Okay, I think you're right. I don't really know how to do this, but we're going to go forward. I ended up going to our superintendent. That's what we called in Church of God of Christ, kind of our regional people, and said, hey, I think I'm supposed to pastor. I think I'm supposed to start a church. I think I'm supposed to start it in Northwest Arkansas. And he said, well, let me pray about it and I'll get back with you. And he came back in about a week. He said, I think you heard from God. And so that's really kind of how I got into it. Ain't no big, it wasn't no sun shining coming down from Mount Zion. It was like, all right, I've got to do this.
Reluctantly.
And ask God. So
But I think that's the thing that makes you, we hear the statistics about how many pastors quit. But I think it's because you made your decision on a word from God, not some emotional thing. Like you literally said yes when you didn't want to. And I think that that's one of the things that people miss about love and destiny and business and ministry and all of that stuff, right? Is that we think we have to feel like what God told us to do, right? When he clearly says, walk by faith, not what I said, not walk by what I said, not what you feel. Now, if you tie that back to business, if you tie that back to ministry, if you tie that back to marriage, there are some times that the Lord is going to tell you to apologize and you don't feel like you're wrong. There are some times that the Lord is going to tell you to make a concession and you don't think it's your turn. And if we don't learn to walk by faith, we spend our life loving God, but letting our emotions take us anywhere they want to take us, whether it's business, ministry, or love.
Yeah,
that's so good.
That is.
And so how do you guys like operate in ministry? I'm curious because I know what it takes for us to work together in business, and I do know the frustrations, especially early on that came with, maybe y'all can kind of talk to, some of the challenges that you experienced, being in ministry, and how you're navigating through those as pastors.
Okay, we don't have this issue anymore. But we used to have an issue that we never saw. Pastor Cynthia used to say this to us all the time. She would say, if you guys would ever see that you are two sides to the same coin, you would do great things. One of our big issues is that we liked each other. We respected each other, but we did not really value our differences. We did not value our differences. So we spent a lot of time trying to get the other person to think like we thought. Understanding that together we had a whole brain. And then this happens. This girl who used to go to our church did this exercise, and it was about the whole brain. And in that exercise, the colors were what?
I don't know, like blue, red,
yellow, and green,
something
right?
like that. Yeah.
Blue, red, yellow, and green. And I was a red and a yellow, and Edwin was a blue and a green. And she explained to us that's why we never thought we were speaking the same language. Well, the super cool thing was that Ralph had one of each. Okay. So what would happen is, because I'm typically the big idea person in our ministry and our life, and Edwin is the details. So what would happen is I would have a big idea and I would tell Ralph. And because Ralph spoke both our languages, he would translate it to Edwin is.
That's so good.
Edwin is.
Translate it.
That's so
Edwin
good.
would bring his objections to Ralph, and Ralph would translate them back to me.
In Shawnees.
In Shun's.
Shawnees. Okay.
What happened is that as Ralph did that, he got good at helping us see the other person's perspective. And then we needed Ralph less and less for that.
That's so good.
Man,
That's so
everybody
good.
ain't fortunate to have a Ralph.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But the truth of it is, we just did not understand.
Yeah.
Right now, this is the truth. If we leave the church and we drive home separately, we will not drive home the same way unless one of us chooses to follow the other one.
You so right.
We go get home different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
And so,
And typically, she has a multitude of ways she drives to get home. I have one. I have one way to get home. Unless it's a detour or traffic, I have one way typically to get home. And
Who get there first?
I think
it depends on the day.
you know,
Okay.
but it doesn't matter whether she beats me or not. I'm only going one way.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm okay with that.
Going home,
Yeah.
and I beat you home, and I was just like, I just don't know why you won't take
And when
this
she,
way as
we were
fast.
literally following each other, and when she got off on the exit, I thought, why did she do that? We don't do that. And then I had to remind myself, no, I don't do that.
You don't do that.
She
Yeah.
does. She may, but I don't. But that's okay. She's an adult. She knows how to get home.
Right. So, and that's the thing. I think a lot of marriages and a lot of business partners struggle with that. One,
Mhm.
they don't see the value in each other's opinion. 100% anyway. It
Differences.
may be a component. It may be a component of it. Oh yeah, the differences. It may be a component of it that they understand, but not the entire thing.
Yeah.
But as a couple or as business partners in general, what do you feel like was a big catalyst to you guys? To you, it probably never would have been a problem for me. Be like, okay, that's the direction she going, or whatever. But what a lot of times what happens is someone in the party tries to influence somebody else to say, well, no, my way is better, or this way is better, you know, or no, it don't make sense for you to go that way. And now it's a 30-minute conversation that you're having about which way to go. When it's, as my granddad would say, it's more than one way to skin a cat.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you can do it multiple ways. So what is it that you see or that you guys have seen in marriages and couples and business partners that drives one person or drives a person to try to manipulate or change that other person? What is it that person could be holding on to or dealing with that makes them want to change somebody else versus just living their life and allowing somebody else the space to live their life or to make their decisions?
Well, the simple answer is fear.
Okay.
The more I fear, the more I need to control other people.
Mhm.
The more I fear, the more I need to control all the outcomes, right? The less I fear, the less I need to control, right? So the truth of it is that most people are not willing to admit that they have that much fear.
Mhm.
Most people are not willing to admit that I need you to do it my way because I'm afraid it won't work if we do it your way, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's the self-work that helps me understand if I need to control Edwin, I'm in fear somewhere.
Okay.
And the solution is not to control Edwin. The issue is to deal with the fear and then come to the table and say, this is the thing that I'm afraid of.
That's
Right?
good.
I think the other thing is that if we're honest, we don't really understand this God of covenant. The God of covenant intentionally covers strengths with weaknesses.
Mm.
He intentionally puts people together who are different. Like if your people are going to put something in the comments, that's what they should put in the comments. When
Yeah.
God is linking friends together, when God is linking couples together, God links according to difference.
Yeah.
That's
If
good.
you look in the Old Testament, when God is looking, he gives this tribe this, he gives this tribe this, he gives this tribe this. Why? Because if every tribe has something different, there are no weaknesses. That goes back to Pastor Cynthia saying to us, you are two sides to the same coin. You are better together than you are apart. So because we don't understand that our covenant God builds according to covenant. So when he is weaving us together, he says, Shun Strickland needs an Edwin Strickland.
Yeah.
Because Edwin is going to see all the things she would never see. Then the freer I get, the less I see that as an enemy and more as an asset.
That's so good.
In the Old Testament, it would be like, if our families were to link in covenant, right? It would be because we're farmers and y'all warriors.
Right.
You don't let them attack us. We'll make sure that we have food, right?
That's good.
And so when we don't understand that our God is a covenant keeping God who links relationships according to covenant, we don't know what to do with different. So the only thing we know to do with different is to throw different away or try to conform different to us.
Wow. Yeah. That's
You need to drink water after that.
I think another piece to that for me personally was, we talk about fear, and when you are in fear, you attempt to control. But I also go back to people really do have to practice the art of being self-aware, because if you're not self-aware, you do things and you don't even understand why you're doing them. So for me, the conversation that I had internally was, and I remember it was Holy Spirit who asked me the question. He said, he asked me once, why are you so tied to her doing it your way? Like, what do you get out of her doing it the way you say? And really the answer to that is that I did get something out of it. What did I get out of it? As a man, I felt validated. I felt right. I felt like I was making good decisions. And the Holy Spirit, was just like, hey, you need to understand that just because I tell you to do it one way, I may not tell her to do it. So you have to learn to trust the God in the person you're doing life with, because God speaks to all of us universally, but the Holy Spirit speaks to us uniquely. And just because he tells me to do it one way doesn't mean he's telling her to do it one way. And so I had to be okay with that. I had to learn that. And so, as long as she wasn't doing something illegal or immoral, if she said that that's what God told her to do, I may give her my opinion about it, but at the end of the day, I got to trust the God in her. She's got to be able to follow God.
That's absolutely so good. Man, y'all drop so many.
Can you give an example of that?
Anything.
Because people may need an example.
I mean, there are times you talk to me about your business, right? I'm not an entrepreneur. I've been in them when I was on the plantation. I was an employee.
Oh, but you at home now, sir. You in the house. You done moved up to the house, sir.
No, but I mean,
I bought you out.
You bought me out.
She paid the price. She paid.
But so I've always been an employee. So I've always tried to be respectful when she talks to me about her business, right? And I don't know specifically, but there's been things that she said, and I said, well, maybe you ought to consider doing X, Y, Z, or you should do this, this, and this. And she'll listen and she'll come back and go, hey, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. I have to be okay saying, okay, you're the business owner. You're the one seeking God about this. My job is then to support you. And if it doesn't go the way that you want, then my job is to be there to help you fix it and to redress and get back on track, not to be the person there saying, well, you should have did it my way, because again, the Holy Spirit was like, what do you get out of it being your way? If Holy Spirit told her to do it that way, then my job is to come and to be a helper for her to do it that way.
And I think what that did is that it made it very safe. Here's the thing, y'all got married young too, so you understand this. When you get married young, you grow up together. In a lot of ways, you raise each other.
Right.
Where your parents kick off, you is raising each other. Okay.
Yes.
I may have been the one being raised. I don't know. She had a bank account and everything. I was just
he was winging it.
Cashing checks at the convenience store.
Living your best life.
But I think that what Edwin did for me is that he made it very safe for me to learn to hear the voice of God.
Yeah.
Because he established that he would not punish me if I was wrong.
That's big right there. Don't breeze over that. Don't breeze
That's
over
big.
that. Don't
That's
breeze
real
over
big.
that.
That if I said to him, I remember this, the first time I did a women's conference, okay? The women's conference did not make the budget, right? Now, because he was in corporate, he thought I was charging too little, and he was likely right. I was very concerned that I would not be able to get people at the room at the rate he told me that I should charge.
Mm.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that God told me to charge what I charge, or my fear made me think God told me that. Whatever the
It was
case may
fear.
be. Okay,
Yeah.
it was fear. But when it was over, I'll never forget this. I owed $6,000 to finish that. And this is what he said to me. That's your learning experience. I'll help you pay this off. And all I ask is that next time you listen to me when I'm talking to you about the pricing. I have never, ever, ever had another event that did not end in
The positive.
the because of that.
Wow.
But he didn't say to me, and he's never, ever brought up again. Anytime we talk about the event that did make money, I bring it up. He has never said to me again, you shouldn't do this because of that. He said, okay, I let you try it your way. Now will you listen to my way?
Yeah.
That's so
And I
good.
think we got to give each other the grace that even sometimes you may really know better. There have been things I said, babe, I don't think you should do that at work. That ain't a good people move, right?
Yeah.
That ain't a good people
I can
move,
think of one.
right? And he was like, no, I got it, right? But when it was over, I didn't beat him up for that because we're growing and becoming. And so I would say to a husband, if you have a wife and you really want her to thrive, you can't punish her for mistakes. She has to have freedom to make mistakes, and vice versa. But the truth of it is that a lot of time women are more creative than men. Like a lot of time women are just like, I think it's just something God put in us. We're just more creative. We can see this thing. And a lot of time men are like, well, give me a hammer and nails and I'll build this thing for you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you do that, that when someone makes a mistake, you don't punish them forever for it.
Yeah. And I think Rob said, Robert Holland in the chat, shout out to Rob.
Hey,
said,
Rob.
we must
Our
understand.
other favorite couple.
Absolutely, yeah. We got to understand that our spouse has our best interests at heart, right? So and both sides of it.
So true.
Not that Shun was intentionally trying to fall short on the budget, right? And you knew that that wasn't her plan, but his response to you also reaffirmed and confirmed to you that, hey, he got my back. And that builds some deep roots, right? That builds some strong, good roots that build on trust, that builds on open and honest conversation, that builds on so much that gives good synergy to everything. That is the foundation to it all, right? Because I can openly tell you something and you give me the room to grow, right? Whether I'm right or wrong, right? Because you're not always right and I'm not always right. But to be able to,
and especially when you're dealing with, in our situation, we really, I can make money doing things that wasn't my profession. I was in education. I had an employer. But when you have a spouse who may be more entrepreneur driven and the other one is not, I think the one who's not has to remember that the only way systems get perfected is through trial and error. So, I realized that, hey, she's in business to make money, but she may have some trial and error. She's going to figure out some things, whereas if you are a person like I was, every job I went to was pretty much an established business. It had established protocols. It had established policies and procedures, and so I realized that wasn't what she was working with. So I had to give that grace.
Absolutely.
So if two people are both doing what she's doing, what you two are doing, you really got to give each other grace, because in order to grow, there are going to be missteps.
Right.
You're just not going to do everything right the first time out the gate. And so you really got to give each other grace to grow.
Yeah. I hope that, everybody that's tuning in tonight first of all, I think that Shun and Edwin are like the best example that I've ever seen of like healthy conflict, right? Like everything that y'all just dropped, it's not that you didn't have conflicts or issues along the way. It's just you handled it in this. The word I want to use is professional manner. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like,
let's be clear. We're telling you what happened now. We had a lot of trial and error when it wasn't real professional.
Absolutely. But here's our goal and objective for even doing something like Love and Business, right? There's a lot of people that have one spouse that want to participate in business, the other one doesn't, or maybe both of them are in it, but there is no blueprint out there currently for people that do what we do. And so, we took on the opportunity here to just pioneer that space. But if somebody that has never been in business before and they're about to start next week, if they listen to everything that you just said, you ain't got to deal with some of the conflicts.
Nah.
If you just you can make a whole lot of money a whole lot faster if you listen to that, because we have lost tens of thousands. Maybe
you cannot destroy your marriage.
Yes, you know what I'm saying.
You can make
have
a
healthy
lot of money and not destroy your marriage.
Yes,
absolutely.
But I want to say the other thing too is that after she had that first event, I knew going in that based on what she was charging and based on the number of people and based on the venue and everything she was giving away, that math wasn't math. But it really wasn't my place to overly exert that, because I knew that if I just let it go, what would happen? I could be there for her and then say, hey, all I'm trying to do is help you. That's why I was saying X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But as a result of that, you know what? I've never ever talked to her about numbers and she gave me any pushback. Yeah. It's like she was like, okay, you let me do it. I realize you got some. I actually see you. You know what you're talking about a little bit in this department. I'm gonna listen to you. Yeah. And sometimes you have to do that just to grow.
Well, that's wisdom right there, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's been times in our experience where Crystal can come in on a high, like she got this brilliant idea and it's big as all get out, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm thinking about it, and I start asking questions because I want you to self-discover that this may not, like financially what you're saying, like we need to. So, but that's a drainer for her. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a battery sinker. You might as well just unplug. And she just like, man, why you hit me? You know what I'm saying? Why you ask me all these questions? I ain't worried about that. The Lord go do it. I'm like, hold on, man. He gave us a little sense to, you know what I'm saying?
I need to loan y'all a Ralph.
Right. But
I used to say you just a dream killer.
Yeah, that's
about the same words I use.
That's the exact same words. So what I would do is just be like, okay, and then I try to internally process it and then just try to support. Try to support from afar. And the first major event that we did, we funded like ourselves. It was called a Wealth Empowerment Tour or something like that. We had Dennis Kimbrough come and speak. But that event cost us like $8,000.
I think so, yeah.
$8,000, 10 years ago or something like that.
Way longer than that.
But originally we were going to charge for the ticket. And then it changed to free. We didn't have it wasn't a conflict over it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I do believe that seed is still producing fruit for us today.
Yeah,
but it's things like that, to not not be a dream snatcher, when I'm just really just trying to say, how can I support? You know what I mean? Like, how can I support? But I guess that's that grace to grow, as a few people put in the chat, like, hey, that's that grace to grow. It's like, hey, yeah. And if you figure it out, if the Lord make a way, then my faith will be built. But
I think it's twofold, right? I think it's one, the pause to learn that on a high, it's not the time to ask questions.
Yes.
And it's the maturity to say that if he asks a question on the high, there's something he's very concerned about, you should tune in. I think it takes both of those things.
Because one of the techniques that I've learned to use is when she comes in on a high, rather than just asking questions, I get on board with the high. But then I may say something like, that's really, like, for instance, a funny story. One Easter,
I'm ready.
So one Easter, Shun came in with this wonderful idea.
I had the whole team on board.
She had talked to the whole team before they ever talked to me, and everybody was on board.
I'm over events. I'm on for special events.
So Easter was a special event, Resurrection Sunday. She was like, yo, we're going to have live animals for Resurrection Sunday.
Okay.
And I don't just mean like a bunny rabbit. I mean, she was going to have a donkey and somebody riding in. You know, I laugh and say, I think she told me they wanted to see if the zoo would give them like a lion in a cage. I wasn't sure. All I know is I listened to it.
I was gonna have poop all over the sanctuary, man.
I said, you know what? That would be cool. What are we gonna do about the insurance in case one of these animals bites the kids? You know, because this is a great idea.
Yeah.
And have we looked at the lease to see whether that's covered? Can we have live animals
On site?
Yeah. So I just started asking those questions, but every time I would say, "But this is a great idea. We just gotta figure this out."
We just got to figure this out.
And pretty soon she realized, yo, you know what? This is kind of over the top. You know, and we had a great Easter, but we didn't have no lions and tigers and bears.
What we needed is, in my mind, I saw the leading up. Jesus goes in the week before, and they got the hay going down.
Not Jesus going in.
Because I want it to be the best for Jesus.
She wanted an entire production with live animals.
With live animals.
In a rented building.
Y'all need to put live animals in the chat. That is
so what I learned to do was I just learned to ask the right questions so that I did not smother the high of this idea that clearly she had convinced the team was a great idea as well. And then I said to them afterwards, I said, Pastor Shun comes, I need y'all to ask some of these questions.
Yeah.
Don't always make me be the one asking these questions.
No, Chris is right with me. Chris, like, we would have got those animals.
I believe.
I had no idea. I had no doubt they would have gotten the animals.
Yeah.
We didn't use favor to get the animals.
My question was, what about the insurance?
What about the insurance?
The insurance company to make sure we're covered. What about the landlord? You know, is anybody in there allergic to tigers?
Yeah.
There's questions that need to be answered.
100%.
I mean, I love it though, because it speaks to the different dynamics of our personalities, because we're very, very similar. Where, I'm the big idea person and Lamorne is coming with all of these questions and all of these details. And it did used to frustrate me in the beginning stages, especially when it had something to do, with business. I'm ready to move fast because I've already calculated all of this stuff in my head, and the big idea seems super exciting. So when I first realized that was causing some tension in between us, what I would do is I would call one of my friends and get my excitement out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we had, I was kind of like a Ralph situation, but I would call and we would, girl, it's going to be blah, 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 blah. Like we just hype on the phone, probably for about 2 hours. I get off the phone and I come tell them more, probably about 2 sentences of what really took place, right? But it helped us, I think, over time, to start, like you said, respecting each other's differences. But what I've also realized, and Lamorne always uses this analogy that, I'll run through a wall when the door was unlocked, right? And but I'm not thinking about the small details of a situation. And so what we started to see was that he had those pieces and parts that I was missing, and then vice versa. Like in us working together now, in the space of business, it's like, look, I can put the big picture stuff together, but I now utilize his skill set to poke holes into my situation, because there's some stuff that I'm just not going to see from the big picture side of things. So for us, that's what we've what we've learned to do long term is just make sure that we're operating in our superpower, so to speak, and show up the best way that we can, exactly how we are. It's like now I expect him to come with the detail. Like I expect him to ask me a whole bunch of questions because I've finally settled in that that's who he is. And there's no point in me trying to dismantle that, because that's actually a benefit,
That's a
you know,
gift.
for our business. Absolutely. It's a
And
gift.
it just makes the plan even better because
Yeah.
because there are blind spots that you didn't see when he asked the question. It's not that you can't come up with an answer or devise a plan for it. You just may not have saw it. But once he illuminates it, then you see it, you create the plan, and that's one less pitfall you have going down the road.
Yeah.
And that is why we have to take care of the marriage.
Mhm.
Because this stuff only works if the marriage is solid.
Mhm.
Right.
It's true.
If I don't believe Edwin has my best interest at heart at home,
Mhm.
I'm not going to believe that in ministry.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe that in
Your business.
business. And the truth of it is that many people have put the wrong success first.
That's so
The wrong
good.
success
They
first.
put the wrong. It's not that it's
Mm.
wrong to have great
Wow.
ministry.
That's good.
It's not that it's wrong
That's
to have a
good.
big business.
Mhm.
But the truth of it
You
is,
put the
the
wrong success
the marriage
first.
must be the foundation.
Wow.
At the core, we gotta know that if all this stuff blow up, this is how I think we have to live. You remember in Mr. and Mrs. Smith when they realized that they was being played against each other?
Mhm.
How they fought that way out of
Yeah,
their situation,
Mhm.
right? If the foundation isn't strong, they will shoot each other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
The foundation has to be that at the end of the day,
that's good.
if this business blow up, if FOC blow up, who gonna be together is Shun and Strick, because together we can build anything again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people are not spending enough time. They want to be a power couple, but they really a pitiful couple.
Come on now, friend.
Come on, somebody need to type be powerful, not pitiful.
Be
Come on,
powerful,
friend.
not
Be
pitiful.
powerful,
No, no.
not pitiful.
They want to be a power couple. Everybody a power couple. How y'all a power couple when y'all, after y'all took that picture, y'all didn't speak. Y'all can't sit on the couch beside each other. Y'all can't laugh and joke. That if y'all not buying something, if y'all not on a yacht somewhere, if y'all not flossing for the people, that's not a powerful couple.
Mm.
A powerful couple is a couple that says, no matter what you throw us, together we will
We
work
go-
it
we
out. Us
go
and
get it
God,
done.
you can't beat us.
Can't beat us.
Let me tell you
100%.
something.
Us and God together.
Everything she's saying is like 10,000% spot on. How we know? Because we lived it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 100%. And what that's why obviously the love is
1000%.
before the business piece of it, right? Like if we hadn't have paused our lives, and for those that don't know, if you didn't tune in to Strategies for Success for the last 2 weeks or so when Shun got all off in my business and was telling people my business, you know, I took a pause because we were in business. You know, we had the State Farm office at the time, but we didn't have all the other 7,000 businesses that we got now. And I knew I needed a pause at that particular time because I knew I was at a real bad crossroads in our relationship. And I had to decide that I wanted to work on my marriage before I opened the door to this next business that was coming.
Yeah.
Like I knew there was absolutely no way we could handle even more load, and we was failing at the load that we did have at the time.
We had to work on ourselves.
On
And
ourselves.
then, you know, and
Yeah,
then, you know,
absolutely. And I think a lot of times, like you said, everybody's going for the, you know, the shining nickel, so to speak, right? You got these opportunities in business, and sometimes it's more so important that you take a hard pause. You know, like somebody asked, I think one time before, like, you know, if you have a business opportunity, but your marriage is rocky, what should you do? I said, well, you got to say bye to that opportunity. Because if you go into it and your marriage is rocky, I can most guarantee you that the business is going to follow suit. Like we had to figure out, you know, first of all, what does a healthy marriage look like? And then we had to go get help for it. So even, you know, before we started the Amazon business, we took a hard pause.
Yeah.
And I flew out there to Arkansas to see Shun to make sure that my life was getting back together. And I think that if more people would prioritize, you know, the relationship first, really and truly, the easy part is doing business with your spouse after that, because now you can enjoy those spaces.
Good.
Because it could be multiple businesses, but
Yeah,
only one marriage.
it's only one
Come
man.
on.
Come
Like,
on.
Come on.
be
Yeah.
And then
multiple
I was
of
thinking
that.
about this. I don't know if y'all saw this in the news, but the lady who runs BET now,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she talks about Robert Johnson. She talks about how she had that affair with him. Think about that. The Johnsons had this opportunity to build a legacy that should still be fully under them now, right?
Mhm.
But at some point, they didn't take care of the marriage. So yeah, they walked away and they both got a lot of money, right? But even the thing that they built has diminished.
Gone.
Because once the marriage wasn't intact to build what they were building, then they were no longer guardians over the vision of BET, right? So if God gives us these ideas, and basically if you think about like a business idea, as you know, it's a kid and it's the mama and the daddy, right? But if the mama and daddy not in shape, what's gonna happen to the baby? The baby end up doing all kind of stuff never should have been doing, all kind of trauma, right? And so I think we have to value what God values.
That's good.
And what God values is him first, and the marriage second, the children third, and then whatever else we're building. That's what God values. And the challenge sometimes is that we're trying to get God's best out of order.
That's good.
Wow.
And that's why I have so much respect for you guys, because the truth of it is you need to know this. Many people who were already financially successful would not have bent the knee to come and sit and get help. They would not have done it, as evidenced by the statistics we see. They would have said, we got it, or I don't need your money, or I'll go get somebody else, or we'll just have an arrangement. But I so respect you guys for saying, wait a minute, we believe God has called us to do something great, but our marriage is not okay. We're gonna fix our marriage so we can be here long term with these natural babies and with these business babies.
Come on.
So that 50 years from now, it's grandkids going, look at what my grandpa and my grandma built, right? And so I respect you for doing that, because a lot of people won't do that. And I'll say this because Pastor Edwin and I counsel lots of people.
Lots
of people.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And the truth of it is that there are two issues that happen when most of the time they won't tell the truth, and they won't follow instructions.
And I like to tell the truth.
You is that y'all came both telling the truth, and you followed instructions. Because I don't care how good we are at anything, if you won't follow instructions, we can't help you.
That's right.
It ain't nothing. That's it.
So to everybody who's married, or may be in some trouble and you may have some issues, let me tell you what I say in Inner Circle. You are special, but your marriage is not. You special, but your marriage is not. Because what happens is that people think that your issue in your marriage is so unique. Ain't
nobody ever got on nobody's nerves before.
Ain't nobody never had the kind of issue that we had. And then what it does is that it builds in pride, and it makes you unteachable. Because because what you could have said is, y'all have a ministry, you don't have a business, you don't understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But instead you said, you look like you got something in your marriage that seems to be working. Tell me how to get there. And both of you, I want to commend you both. There has never been an instruction that we have given you, and Lord knows I know I have got on Crystal last nerve. There has never been.
I ran out a long time ago.
That I have given you that you did not do, even if you didn't want to do it when you did it. And you got the results now because you told the truth and you did the work.
Follow instructions.
At that point in time, we was, hold on. Here's a nice plug for our sponsor of the night. I was desperate and decided. I wanted to get up out of that space. Do you hear me? I did not want to be in a miserable marriage for the rest. Like, the only thing I kept thinking about was, man, I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to be 70 years old and I'm not going to like the life that I was living, and I didn't want that. And I wanted to be able to have a healthy and thriving marriage way more than I wanted a healthy and thriving business. Like, I wanted to set that foundation first. And that was super important, I think, to, both of us, obviously, because we did the work to get out of it. But I just, I would caution people to, stop asking the questions about the business first, right? When you know that your relationship is not in the space that you needed to be. How we know? Because we've lived through a couple of those episodes before. It's like the reason why you're probably having a lot of, problems inside of your business is because you hadn't taken the time to work on the relationship aspect of it to then start respecting those, strengths of your partner. Yeah, absolutely. Because I was going into the office not liking him, not because he was the agent, but because he was my husband. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that is it right there.
I didn't like nothing about my agent. You hear me? But I came from home like that,
She woke up like
I woke up like that. Man. And I'm like, there is absolutely no way we was gonna be able to build a successful business when I was feeling like that. I couldn't respect him as my business partner, when I'm having issues with respecting him as my husband.
Yeah.
And so there was too many triggers and too many things that were firing off that I knew, we needed to do the work to make sure that we got out of that space if we really wanted to build, this empire of businesses that we kept talking about. I tell him all the time, I don't want to be no fake. I don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got to be real and true if I'm gonna roll with it. And so, I'm talking about. She
gonna tell the truth on herself.
I will light a fire to it and let it burn down before I lie.
We ain't gonna be no. We know.
I know y'all know. I'm not about to do that.
She go up to somebody. Hey, she don't care what the penalty is. She go tell it on herself. I'm like, oh, golly, girl, think about it.
Yeah, Lamar be out here trying to live in the gray. I ain't got time.
Hey, it's situational. But but the truth of the matter is, honestly, and guys, like, it's okay to say you need a little help, right? Mm-hmm. It's okay to work on your soul, man. To really dig, to find out what is it that your granddad taught you, what is it that your dad taught you, what is it that your uncle taught you, or what did you learn from your youth that is bearing some type of fruit now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay. Everything that you learned around the fire barrel while you were drinking a beer because your uncle snuck you a beer, or you just, everybody around there telling lies. It's okay to dismiss that. It's okay to understand that your elders were not the best people or the best men. They may have had a good intention, but that doesn't make everything that proceeds out of their mouth good. Mm-hmm. Right? It's okay to find some help and reroute that path and in your mind so that you can be the best version of you. Mm-hmm. Crystal wanted to be the best version of her. And I think it's key to note that we went to see Edwin and Shun separately. Mm-hmm. Right? We were not separated. Let me be clear.
Almost.
Right. Yeah.
It was almost.
She went.
And then he got desperate and decided.
Then I went separately, right? After the fact. I had no desire to go at first. I was like, okay, she's going. All right, bet. That's 2 days that I can watch the first 48. He
was not committed.
but it's okay. It is okay, guys, because that is how you build something strong, right? That is how, both parties have to be willing, right? Mm-hmm. And have that desire. Both parties have to be have that commitment to do it, right? Absolutely. To get it right. And when you see that person has a desire to get it right, I think it's a little bit more grace that can be given. It's when it's consistently you just don't want to do right. I think if Shun doesn't take the advice of Edwin on the next event, right? If she says, I got the numbers on this, don't worry about it, don't tell me nothing, after she was already at the $6,000 deficit on the first one, I think that grace starts to wither a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because now you're not coachable, you're not being teachable, you're not partnering or respecting my opinion. So I think when you start to see that person is willing to transform and willing to do the work, even if it's baby steps, I think you should, that grace extends a little bit.
Absolutely.
I love what you said to men, because I think, Pastor Edwin got help, you got help, Ralph got help, the guys we know who have done great work went and got help, right? And I love that you guys are normalizing that men don't have to have it all together. That does not diminish your manhood. Right. Say, I don't know how to love my wife well, or I don't know how to communicate, or I don't know how to do this thing, right? And I just wish that more men would do that, because a lot of times when we're talking to women, women are frustrated because they are doing the soul shift work, they are going to therapy, they are getting coaching, and their partner is still sitting at home watching the first 48 2 hours 2 years later. You know what I'm saying? It's fine that it's a month, but 2 years later. And I think that I want you guys to just, you, Rob, all of y'all, to be louder about getting help, because you got to normalize it in a way for men that women don't need.
Yeah.
Women we go ask somebody.
Yeah. That's so good.
And let me say this. It's not the barbershop help, guys. It's not, you talk to your barber. I know some people on here don't have that issue. They don't go to the barber. But if it's the help that when you see somebody, and I tell the people this all the time. I say, man, look, if you want to be on this job, or if you want a career somewhere, look at the person that's been there the longest and see if you want that life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look at your supervisor, and if your supervisor is making $40,000-$50,000 a year, and whatever, if that's the life you want, then stay there. But if you want something more, you may want to do something different. So if you see some people that's around you that has a marriage or has a relationship or a business that you aspire to be like, you should connect with them. You should connect with them.
That's been our secret sauce. We just gonna hang. We gonna hang until they tell us we can't hang no more. You hear me? For us, we just grab hold to people that that are showing the example of what it is that we want our marriages to be like, and we're super intentional about that. Like, I probably talk to Shun more than I talk to anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I'm constantly keeping her in my ear, because I know that she has the correction that I need to continue to, go in the direction that I'm going. And a lot of people they don't value that level of wisdom. But for me, you say you got 29 years in, I'm trying to figure out, how we can continue on our path to make sure that we're, going in that direction too. You gotta value wisdom, and I don't know if that's a lost art or what, but we do.
Value wisdom,
right? And if somebody, and the thing is, a lot of times what you'll see is if you come to somebody with an issue, don't run from them after the fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't go ghost, right? Just because they tell you something that is, and that's in business, that's in really any relationship, but we definitely want to talk about marriages, because I think it's super important to keep those people in your circle, or a part of your inner circle.
You should never be so grown that nobody can get in your business.
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody should be that grown that nobody can pull their coat. Nobody can say, hey, let me holler at you. Nobody should be. But the other thing is that because you've done the work, right? Now the level of couples we can reach has doubled.
Yeah.
It's double, because now their scenarios sometimes I'm like, Crystal, y'all take them. Because you're more related. Now the Marlows can take a couple. You know what I'm saying? The Valleys can take a couple. We can do more. The healthier all the marriages get, right? The more impact we can make for the people who are willing to take instruction.
Yeah. That's so good. That's good. Well, look, we've been on here a good little bit tonight. We could stay on here all night with y'all, because
let's just take a trip.
We're gonna take a trip, but
somewhere warm with water.
Yeah,
warm with water.
Laptops and flip flops. We coming back.
That's right.
I'm always taking notes. Y'all know I got 2 pages full of notes.
Y'all put y'all biggest takeaway in the chat.
Yeah, do that. Put your biggest takeaway in the chat. But we got some church announcements tonight, because listen, we gonna talk about live your dreams before we get off of here. That's what we gonna do. We gonna talk about it, because we gonna be in Arkansas on March the 31st and April 1st at the Live Your Dreams conference. And so, look at that. Oh yeah. Yeah, we in the place, and y'all need to go ahead and register. You got the website right there. I think Chris is gonna drop it in the chat for us. We need y'all to register for Live Your Dreams Live. This is gonna be an amazing event, and if you heard the wisdom that they dropped on here tonight in just this hour-long talk, you already know they're about to come with it at Live Your Dreams Live.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, Edwin, you are speaking at the conference, right? Yes,
I am speaking, and this is
Yes.
not a conference just for women. This is
It's
anybody
not.
who has a dream ought to be coming to live your dreams.
And
Absolutely.
everybody, because the men are showing up at this event, and so we need more men to join Lamorne and Pastor Edwin here. I'm sure there's more already registered, but we need all of y'all in the room because my husband need a whole man table. Like let's get a man table, okay? At the Live Your Dreams
You got
Live.
a man table. We just
We got a
need
man.
more. But listen, Lemoyne has sowed the seed. It's all kind of men coming this time.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm excited about it. So I need y'all to register for Live Your Dreams Live. What else we got going on? We got Shift with Shun. Yes, put all of the stuff in there. Look, I even heard that somebody got a book coming out that just dropped it out of nowhere. You know, we got Ed Talks on Tuesdays. We got Strategies with Success on Mondays. What is it that y'all not doing? I feel like y'all trying to catch us on the business side.
Listen, we are trying to give people zero excuses to live their best life.
That's what I'm talking about. And
that's what we're trying to do.
As long as we're around, we're gonna partner with y'all to be able to do that. But I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor for the night. We got Chandra Washington with her shirts. This one says "Desperate and Decided, Delivered." I think we got a link that we can drop in the chat for her as well. These shirts are absolutely amazing. They feel so good. They fit really good. I mean, just amazing quality. I'm excited to be out here desperate and decided. Do you hear me? I don't care what y'all think. I'm so happy to be living this life that I'm living.
Listen, me too.
After I got desperate and decided, baby. So I'm gonna need y'all to get these shirts too. We got a lot of stuff going on in our community. So y'all need to keep up with it. Absolutely. But I want to just say thank you again to you guys. Like I said, we could have had a business podcast, but we wouldn't have been able to do Love and Business without the Strickland.
Yeah.
And so that's real talk, man. Y'all legit.
Please.
After God, it was right. Y'all was right after God on saving our marriages, dude.
That's because we had been crazy enough to match your crazy. That's why we recognize, we spoke your language is what it was.
Amen. I appreciate that, man. I thank you for your transparency and helping us get through our go through. But I can tell you one thing, we ain't got to go back.
No,
I know that's right.
Never.
We ain't never got to go back. But we got to have y'all back at some point in time on the podcast. But until then, again, I want to say thank you. Did we miss anything? Did we miss anything that y'all are doing?
No, we thank you guys so much. We love you. We're so honored that we have become friends, and we look forward to all the stuff we're going to do over many, many years together.
And I agree with Lamorne. We got to find another word besides friends. It's another level there. I don't know what the word is, but it's more than friends.
Exactly.
Well, we'll make it up as we go. You know what I'm saying? I'm just now getting comfortable at the 7-day-a-week friend stage. So I don't want to escalate out of that too fast.
You got Shun trauma.
I don't know how you know, but we good now in 7 days. So our last shout out is for Chrissy with Creative Meals. She helps us with this podcast every week. We would not be able to do it if she did not help us. And so we're very, very thankful for her help.
If you're looking to take your production to the next level,
absolutely,
or need some help getting something going as it relates to your videos and things of that nature, the Creative Meal is definitely will be an asset to your team.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead.
Crystal, as we leave, put your hand on his thigh.
Are we rubbing or are we stroking?
We done had that conversation.
Hey.
Are you rub versus stroke?
Y'all have to come back for the second episode with the Strictness to find out what that means.
We done had that conversation.
Just know that there is a strong difference between a rub and the stroke. Okay,
we had to educate y'all.
Absolutely.
And we thank y'all for it. The women were better as a result of it.
Absolutely.
We love y'all.
So on that note, we're gonna end on a nice rub, and we're gonna see y'all next week. Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Y'all be good.